Привет, меня зовут Эдуард Сергиенко, я мастер спорта по пауэрлифтингу, тренер олимпийского профессионального спорта со стажем 20 лет, магистр спортивной психологии. Сегодня мы посмотрим видео упражнения для мобильности суставов. Поехали!
Changing. It can sometimes come across as just a fancy gimmick or a way for people to show off on the internet, but truthfully, deep down, it's something that will improve the quality and the longevity of your life. Today, I wanted to share with you the 5 best body weight exercises for better mobility. Having your body weight play a part in these movements is essentially like loading them. So you could think of them like weighted stretches, where your weight helps draw you into a deeper stretch, and then you also need to lift your body weight out of that position, building strength, flexibility, and stability in the body all in one go. Let's get into it. So this first one isn't going to break the internet for its innovative, creative uniqueness, but it is possibly the most important mobility movement in the world. If you
То есть философия такая: гибкие суставы – молодость, негибкие суставы – преждевременная старость.
want healthy knees, mobile hips, stable ankles, and a longer life expectancy, then don't do this one. The primal squat is the holy grail of bodyweight mobility movements. But we're talking a nice deep squat here, not something that is more like sitting on an imaginary chair. But what do you do if you don't have this range of mobility yet? Sitting as deep as your current flexibility allows is the goal, whether that's here or here or here. It doesn't need to look like mine, it doesn't need to look like anybody else's, but challenging your end range is what you need. If you can already just drop down into a deep squat and stand yourself up again many, many times, then great. But don't use this as an excuse to think that you don't need to keep doing them. But what happens if you can't? Here's my 2 favorite ways to work towards it. Firstly, grab a foam roller or one of those big blow-up Pilates balls that you get at the gym. Works just as well. Stand yourself in front of a wall. Your feet want to be a little wider than your hips and your toes ever so slightly turned outward. Take your rolly thing to just behind your lower back and then lean back against it to squish it into the wall. From there, allow yourself to roll down your rolly thing into your deepest squat position. Pause, hold it for 3 to 5 seconds before rolling your way all the way.
Очень прикольное упражнение, очень, это для реабилитации вообще, это для разминки классная штука. И такая же есть вещь, то же самое, только лицом вперед, и вы руки кладете на стенку, то есть вы стали, то же самое, и руки на стенку, и также приседаете, сосели в полный сет, но это уже более для продвинутых, но имеет место быть.
Being able to lean back against the wall lessens the demand on your hip and your ankle mobility and allows you to progress over time until perhaps one day you don't need the wall. Second option, place a small wedge underneath your heels. Something like mini weight plates or books work perfectly. You want the wedge to be as large as necessary to allow yourself to sit into the deep squat.
Это у кого не гибкие голеностопы, вот так вот надо подкладывать даже в приседаниях под пятки блинчики.
As small as possible to ensure that you're finding your challenging edge. Again, it's a more forgiving shape on your ankle and hip mobility and is why special squat shoes have a built-in wedge underneath the heel to make your squats easier. So all of these movements that I'm going to run you through could be done as a specific mobility routine in and of itself. But one of my favorite ways to apply them is in mobility microdoses, where I'll pop up from my desk at random intervals throughout the day, do a few squats while I give Benny some fuss, whilst I wait for the kettle to boil. You'd be amazed at how beneficial microdoses like this can be, which have pretty much no impact on your schedule or how much time you have available. So let's move on to the next 4. The final one is what I'm sure people on the internet will want to shout at me over the most. So let's put that one last in the hope that some people don't make it that far. Number 2 is targeting your shoulder mobility, as well as being great for decompressing your spine, essentially letting it expand into its natural length, which is quite the opposite of what it experiences when we're sat down, which we do quite a lot of. And an added bonus, it'll strengthen your wrists. A dead hang is pretty much what it sounds like. You allow your dead weight to hang off of a bar. No pulling up, no tension, just a complete...
На минуточку, кто не понял, у нее силовая рама прямо дома находится.
dead hang. And let me just reassure you, if you have little experience with these, they are a lot harder than you think they might be. And obviously, a heavier body weight, a larger body, is a heavier load to carry. So if completely hanging isn't quite manageable for you yet, just leave your toes on the ground and give as much of your body weight to your hands as you possibly can. I would advise you test your maximum hold.
Когда вы будете полностью висеть, то будет растягиваться низ поясницы, но грудной отдел в грудном отделе растягиваться практически не будет. Но когда вы повиснете и будете висеть, становиться на стопы и так провиснет, тогда грудной отдел будет более расслаблен.
Set yourself a benchmark and then simply work on trying to beat your own time. Because a vast variety of people might watch this video and it'd be completely arbitrary and pointless for me to say, try and hold for this amount of time. Just find a length of time that challenges you. Did you know that your adductors, your inner thigh muscles, start at the same point on the underside of your pelvis as your hamstrings do? And they insert into a not too dissimilar spot down towards the bottom of the thigh. So working on mobility here has some direct crossovers with better hamstring mobility. So number 3 is doing exactly that. Cossack squats go by many different names. A side squat, a lateral squat, maybe even Skandasana in yoga class. There's a few subtle differences between each of them, but they're largely the same movement. Start with your feet wide. A common error is people thinking that a more narrow stance is easier if they're a little bit inflexible. It definitely isn't. You just run out of space for your legs to fit halfway down and get a little bit stuck. So take that nice broad stance and turn your toes just a little bit outward. And now think of it just like the regular squat. You're going to keep your chest up.
Если у вас не получается присесть вот так вот на одной ноге, то вам в помощь будет полотенце. Берете полотенце, оборачиваете его куда-нибудь об ручку, ручкой держитесь и вот таким образом садитесь, чтобы не падать.
Sit your bum back and down and keep pressing your knee wide so that we're really working those adductors. For many people, you'll reach a point where your inner thigh flexibility finds you a stopping point. But if you have a little bit more range, you may be able to move down into a deep squat. You've got 2 options. You could keep the foot flat, which is a little bit more bias on stretching your adductors, but very challenging on your ankle mobility. Or you could turn your toes to the sky, a true Cossack squat, which is a little bit more biased towards your hamstring flexibility, but easier on the ankle. Both fabulous options. Importantly, however low that you squat to, you have to be able to get back up. It's mostly the yogis I see who drop it down low and then take another posture. And this isn't mobility. It's just a stretch at best and sinking into your joints at worst. So if you hit a point where you can't get back up, don't go so low on your next repetition and work within the
Не расслабляйтесь. В нижней точке не надо расслабляться.
that you can control, developing that over time. If you have tight hamstrings, this next one is going to be your best friend. Well, maybe not your best friend. The balance is pretty difficult, so maybe just...
Кстати, для интересного момента, значит, если проблема с крестами, это вопрос с бицепсом бедра, то есть его умением растягиваться. Слабая растяжка, проблема с крестами.
Valued acquaintance. Tight hamstrings are often the cause of excessive lower back rounding when bending or reaching for something. This is a position of the spine that very few people train strength in, which makes it a vulnerability. I'll talk more about this spinal issue and share some advice in another video, as it's not something that's easily addressed with simply body weight exercises. So for the purposes of this video, better hamstring mobility allows us to bend, fold, and move in the more user-friendly neutral spine position. Single leg deadlifts use your body weight to pull your hamstring into a stretched position, and then your hamstring contracts to pull your body all the way back up. So stand on one leg, toes pointing forwards, and your body square on. Keep a nice straight line between hips and head. Hinge your hips forwards until you feel that hamstring stretch. Pause for a moment, enjoy the stretch, before standing yourself back up tall. If you have flexible hamstrings already, you could have the other leg straight out behind you, but otherwise you could keep it bent. That leg really isn't part of the exercise, so don't let it be the limiting factor. Place your hand on something for balance if you need, but do try to work towards doing this without balance support to get those stabilizer muscles working and extra ankle mobility gains. So we've gotten into the outer hips, the shoulders, the spine and the hamstrings. But what's really missing from this group of exercises so far is the front of the hip flexors. For all of the movements in this video, I'm speaking to people with healthy bodies. If you have injuries...
Итак, резюмируя видео. Помимо, если вы занимаетесь в тренажерном зале, вы должны еще заниматься подвижностью суставов. Чем лучше подвижность суставов, тем лучше и больше будут ваша отзывчивость мышц. Если у вас возраст уже более 40-50 лет, и вы всю пол своей жизни сидели, то вот такие вот упражнения делать прямо обязательно, must have, прямо максимально. Иначе просто кровь будет просто не доходить туда, куда она должна доходить. Ходите мало, двигаетесь, подвижность суставов маленькая и так далее. То есть тут идет уже в то, что пропорция между упражнениями физическими и вот такими вот колонетикой, статикой и растяжкой уже идут в больше вот эту степень, чем физику. То есть тут надо уже укреплять так. Ага, сделали суставы подвижнее, значит, добавляйте силу. Иначе сила будет работать только в такой амплитуде, в которой вам позволяют суставы. Итак, до новых встреч, подписывайся на мой канал, ставь лайк, чао-чао.